I am so excited to get into today's video. We are doing my January reading wrap up along with my February TBR. This is, I think, my first time ever doing one of these type of videos, I think. And I'm so pumped to be getting back to creating. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hop into it if that's cool with you guys. Now, I will straight up say, I feel like I've been struggling to find a really good book lately. In 2024, I think I had maybe one 5-star read, which is crazy because I'm not even that extreme with my ratings. But I just feel like I have not been finding any books that have been hitting super hard. But with that said, I do feel like I was off to a pretty good start in January. The first book that I read was The Wedding People. Now, I gave this book 4 stars. I, first off, really love the cover art. I think that this is one of the most beautiful cover arts that I have seen. It's just very much my vibe. And I want to say that I saw that there were like awards for the cover somewhere. It's gonna sound really silly, but I feel like in January, I guess maybe because I live in Florida, I associate it with the color blue and the ocean and just feeling fresh. And I felt like with the champagne bottle and the ocean that it just felt like January to me. I don't know if that makes sense to anyone, especially those of you that live in the very cold climates where it's probably snowing outside. But for me, for some reason, the color blue always reminds me of New Year's, especially because it's like the opposite of Christmas colors, aka why I tend to go teal during the new year. Now, this book was literary fiction. I went into this blind and I tend to go into my books pretty blind. So with that said, I probably won't tell you the majority of what these books are about, only because I enjoy going into books blind and I don't want to ruin it for anyone that also likes doing that. But I will say that this had so many layers to it. I feel like a lot of takeaway lessons and really good reminders. I really liked the writing in this book specifically, but there was a lot of cursing, which doesn't bother a lot of people, but for me, I just don't like when it feels a little bit unnecessary. That's just a personal preference of mine. But other than that, I felt like this book was really good, written very well, a lot of humor in it, and I feel like a lot of honesty. I do recommend 4 stars, definitely off to a great start. Okay, the next book that I read was very intense. I was really looking forward to reading this for so long because it is a mystery thriller and it has such high ratings, which I feel like mystery thrillers don't tend to have very high ratings unless they are phenomenal. But I was also a little bit intimidated because it was a bit of a longer book, but that is Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. I will say this book took me a while to get through. I would definitely look up the trigger warnings because this book is way more graphic than I was expecting. Even like from the jump, you just start and it's pretty graphic. This size has 500 pages, but I think the audiobook was over 20 hours long. It was really long. I mean, I listened to my books on like double the speed. I will say, I feel like it took me a while to get through and it was very interesting, but I think that this might honestly have been the most intense mystery thriller that I have ever read because it was just so graphic and dark, and I just kind of got that like icky feeling. Like, I know mystery thrillers have, you know, like a dark ambiance about them, I guess you could say, but I do feel like this one in specific was pretty dark. So do with that as you will. I rated it a 3-star, but I think that's just because I don't do so well with like the really graphic stuff, and I actually had to take breaks from reading it because it was just getting so intense, which I don't think I've ever had to do with a book. There's one other book that I have read that's pretty intense called The Last Housewife. To me, that is like one of the craziest mystery thrillers I've ever read. It's also very dark and very graphic, like the storyline, whereas this one I just felt I was very hooked, but it just had a very different feeling. I don't know if that makes sense, but on Goodreads it has a 4-star rating, which is pretty high for mystery thrillers, so you might enjoy it. I don't know, but definitely if you get triggered, definitely look up the trigger warnings before diving into this. Now, the last book that I finished in January, I feel like I have not seen many people talk about it, but I fell in love with the cover because it's so pretty, and that is Honey by Isabel Banta. I think that's how you pronounce it. I love this aesthetic. I think that it's such a vibe. It's a coming of age story of this girl turning into a pop star, but honestly, I feel like it had so much potential to be such a great story. I am picturing like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, like that kind of like girly 2000s pop. Like that is what I tried to envision. I really liked the writing in it, but overall, I just felt like I couldn't really connect with the characters and it just felt very unrealistic. Overall, it was pretty good. I rated it 3 stars. Unpopular opinion, but I also feel like it was very over-sexualized and I feel like it had so much potential to go deeper deeper in some topics, but didn't. And so I don't know, I didn't really connect with it as much as I wanted to. I did fly through it, I will say. I think I finished it in 2 days, but I will say that it's also a bit awkward to listen to an audiobook and it tell you the lyrics with music playing in the background, especially when it's sped up. It is like the funniest thing to hear, but like having like the lyrics is a cool concept in theory, but I just felt like they weren't that deep to begin with. I guess it goes with the story, so to each their own with that. But overall, I really like the cover. The cover is beautiful, but solid 3-star for me. Now, the last book that I started reading in January, I'm still currently reading and I am eating it up. It is definitely a potential 5-star so far, and that is Catherine Center's Hello Stranger. I am loving this book. When I actually make time to read it or when I pop in the audiobook, I am flying through it and I don't want to stop, but I am about halfway through. I have read, I think, just one other book by Catherine Center, which was The Bodyguard, which I loved, but the banter in this book is so good. The storyline is fascinating. She's an artist and she ends up with face blindness and she has to basically paint a portrait for this very important contest, and it is just honestly so fascinating. Like I said, the banter is just really, really good so far, and I'm so excited to see how it ends. I also just really love the cover art. I think that it is so cute, and I absolutely want to read more Catherine Center books. I really like her writing, and it's so good, and I want to say it's closed door romance, which is way more at my alley. I'm not like super into smut, so I think it's great so far. I'm very, very excited. Now, moving on to my February TBR, I'm so excited about these books. I have been really in a rom-com mood, like a romancy mood. For some reason, like toward the end of last year, I don't know if I got burnt out on mystery thrillers, which is usually my preference, but I feel like I'm very sensitive to them now, and like, especially after reading Pretty Girls, like if they're too dark and graphic, I don't know, I just tend to not really gravitate toward them as much anymore, but I am excited to read a few of them in February. But it's a mix of like romance, mystery thriller, and one fantasy book because I really need to give fantasy a shot. Like, I have not read any of the big players out there. I haven't read ACOTAR. I haven't read, what's the big one? They just came out with, oh my gosh, I'm blanking. I have it on my shelf. What is it called? Oh my gosh, what is it called? The second one is called Iron Flame. This is really embarrassing. This is like the book series everyone is talking about right now. I cannot remember it. Anyway, I haven't read ACOTAR, I haven't read Throne of Glass, I haven't read pretty much any fantasy except for Harry Potter and Divine Rivals, which I loved both of those obviously, but like I really love Divine Rivals. Harry Potter I've read over the years, but Divine Rivals specifically I fell in love with, and they were some of my favorite books from last year. So I want to give more fantasy books a try. So with that said, I guess I will start with that first. I figured to kind of like ease in, I feel like I've heard that this one is a good one to start with, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I am really excited to read this. Like I said, I'm new to fantasy. I really don't know what to expect. I do know that it takes more brain power, and I am someone who loves to mostly listen to audiobooks, especially while I'm multitasking. So I think that's why, but I'm very excited because the pages are really beautiful in this. And I don't know, I'm looking forward to diving into it and giving it a chance. I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and I know that the second and maybe third or like a novella or something of it has come out since. I'm very excited to give this a chance. If you have read any of these, please let me know. Please leave any spoilers, but let me know if you have read any of these because I'm honestly looking forward to it, and I feel like hearing more positive things about these books will kind of motivate me more to dive in. Now, the book that I'm probably going to read next after I finish Hello Stranger is Alice Feeney's Beautiful Ugly. I've only read one other Alice Feeney book, and that was Daisy Darker, and I don't remember what I rated it, but I have heard nothing but amazing things about Alice Feeney, and I am very excited to dive into this. I will be going into this blind, so please don't tell me what it is about, but I'm looking forward to it. All I know is that I think like his wife disappears. I also just think that the cover is beautiful, going back to my point of like teal reminds me of the new year. Because I've been reading a rom-com, like romance, I feel like now I'm kind of, you know, wanting a mystery thriller, something to keep me on my toes. So looking forward to this. Next is Thieves Gambit. Now I think that this is a competition. Yeah, Thieves Gambit, a globe-trotting competition that brings together the world's best thieves. I want to say I won this in a Goodreads giveaway. I think it's a YA book, which honestly, I love YA. It is so easy to digest. I just thoroughly enjoy it, but I'm very excited to read this. Once again, I'm kind of going into this blind. I think I've heard good things about it, but I know the second one has come out. Let me know if you have read this down below. Once again, please avoid any spoilers, but it just sounds up my alley. I like those kind of storylines. I have just had this on my bookshelf for a long time, and I feel like it could potentially be a fast read. It's another YA. I don't know if it's good or not. I feel like it might not be the best. That is The Cheerleaders by Kara Thomas. I assume, like I said, I'm going into this blind. My guess is that it's one of those like petty cheerleader type of murder mystery things, but I could be very wrong. I don't know. It just sounds fun. So like I said, it's been sitting on my shelf for a while, and I don't know, I just kind of have been craving like fast reads. So we'll see where that leads. Now switching over to romance. So I picked 8 books for this month just to kind of have a good variety and kind of guidance, because I'm definitely a mood reader, but these are all kind of books that have been sitting on my shelf for a while, or that I'm just looking forward to reading, or some of them I have been putting off for a very long time. For example, I feel like I'm the last person to read this, Emily Henry's Funny Story. Can I tell you, I literally went and bought this on release day, and I was so excited to read it, but I wanted to film a reading vlog of it because I had filmed one for Happy Place the year before on my old channel, and I just really love Emily Henry, as everyone does, but I kept putting it off because I just didn't have time to film the reading vlog. And since then, I've just I feel like overhyped it in my brain, that I've just been putting off reading it because I have a feeling it'll probably be a very high rating, and I just know that I'm gonna enjoy it. So I'm kind of gonna wait until I'm in maybe a reading slump, because I feel like I have been getting into them lately, hence the not so high rated books that I've been reading. But I am very, very excited for this, and I know like her new book comes out in a few months, so it's gonna be fun to read this and then only have to wait a few more months for something new. But I love Emily Henry, as everyone does. Also, the cover is just, it's so good. She's just phenomenal. Speaking of Catherine Center though, now that I am like eating up Hello Stranger, I am so excited to read the rom-commers. I also feel like it's just good timing with Valentine's Day. And once again, the cover art is just so beautiful. I really love that they go so beautifully together. Like, I've had them on my bookshelf together and they are just so cute. And The Bodyguard, I have it on my bookshelf behind me. The Bodyguard will look so pretty with it. I'm excited. I love when I have a stack of books from the same author. And they go together. It's so beautiful. So I'm very excited about this. Once again, going into it blind, I have no idea what this is about, but the cover art is so cute and it's so colorful, and I just trust her at this point. I just feel like it's gonna be great. I'm excited. The 7th book on my February TBR is Love Interest by Claire Gilmore. I think I saw this recommended by Haley Pham, and she really, really liked it, and I tend to agree with a lot of her ratings. So I kind of was influenced by that and found it at a used bookstore, and I was so excited. Also, the cover is so cute. I know, don't judge a book by its cover, but I will say like the art on these books have just been so beautiful. But once again, going into this blind, I really don't know much about this. It says falling for each other is the risk and the reward. Also, her earrings and her outfit, I can't. So cute. And the last book on my February TBR would actually be a reread of one of my all-time favorite books and such a comfort read. And actually, I've never gone back and reread books that I have read in the past aside of like Harry Potter, but that is The Bookshop on the Corner by Jenny Colgan. This is such a cozy comfort read. Like, if you are looking for just a hug in a book, this is it. I don't want to give anything away, but it's set in Scotland and it's just honestly so dreamy and cozy, and I don't know how else to describe it. Do with that as you will. It is just so good. I love this book, and I have been kind of craving a book like this, so I just feel like it would be smart of me to go back and reread it and see if I enjoy it as much as I did the first time. Because like I said, I've never done that, and I kind of this year want to go back through my 5-star reads, especially the books that got me into reading. Like Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo was the book that got me into physical reading a couple of years ago, and I'd be curious to go back and reread it and see if I would still think the same, because obviously my reading taste has evolved over time. It is so cozy. It's just, I love this. And there you have it. That is my February TBR. I am so excited to dive into these. It's quite the variety, and I think that it'll be good since I am such a mood reader to kind of have a bit to choose from. But let me know if you liked any of these or if you recommend any other books. And that is pretty much it for today's video. So if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. It would mean the world to me. I'm so excited to be getting back to creating videos once again, and just honestly getting back to creating in general. It means the world to me. I've been creating videos for the last like 13 years, and I am making it a point to prioritize time for them now, and it just makes me so happy. So I'd love to have you along the journey if you think that we would be friends. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!